Hey guys, got some Uber battles for you. Let's get right into it. I lead with my Kyogre, they start with Toxapex. I get that rain going, immediately go for the Thunder to a huge chunk, he just hangs on. He gives me that Toxic, I take a little bit of damage. They then immediately switch into the Calyrex, get that as one and Nerve going. I go for another Thunder, do a little bit to the horse. Kung Fu Bear decides to make an appearance now. He goes for the Leech Seed, gets seeds on me. Rain's still coming down, he saps away some health. I then go for the Wicked Blow, take out the Ice Horse over there. He then decides to go into his Glamora. I go for the Ice Punch, do barely anything. Get some Toxic Spikes on my side. He then decides to set up those Stealth Rocks, stepping away some health. I go for a Wicked Blow, get the crit, get more Toxic Debris on my side. He sets up some more Spikes, get some Leech Seed health. I go for another Wicked Blow, take him out. The Pokemon God decides to grace us with his presence, immediately switches out into Giratina, gets that pressure going, I go for the close combat, does nothing. He saps away some more health. He goes for the Protect, trying to stall out my bear over here, but I break right through that with a Wicked Blow. Get some leftovers, and then saps away the last little bit, my bear goes down. I then decide to go into my Mewtwo, get hit with all those terrible hazards over there, exert my own pressure, go for the Psy Strike, take out the Giratina. He goes back into the Toxapex over there, and then immediately switches back into the Hatterene. I go for the Psy Strike, to resist does barely anything. I take some damage from the Life Orb and the Poison, go for the Shadow Ball, take out the Big Hat. Goes back into the little Toxapex over there, immediately goes for the Protect, my Psy Strike does nothing, and then I go down to the Toxic Poison. I then go back into my Palkia Origin, again, get hit with all those dirty hazards over there, get the pressure going. He goes for the Terra Poison, I go right for the Earth Power, but he just hangs on. He goes for the Recover, gets a huge chunk of his health back. I take some damage, I then immediately switch into my Kyogre, get hit with all those hazards, get that rain going again. He goes for the Protect, but it fails. I then go for the Surf and take out the Toxapex. Pokemon God is in his last Mon over there. Go for the Surf, do a huge chunk. He goes for that Cosmic Power, starts boosting right in front of my face. Gets some lefties back, I take some damage. He then goes for the Protect. I go for the Surf, does absolutely nothing. He gets some health back, I lose my last little bit and Kyogre goes down. I then go into my Zacian, take all that damage, get the Intrepid boost, go for the Sacred Sword, take out the Arceus. Good game. At this time I ask you guys to please like, comment, share, and subscribe as it really helps with the channel. Without further ado, let's get into game 2. They start with Palafin, I start with my Mewtwo. They immediately switch into Kyogre, get that rain going. I go for the Psy Strike, do a huge chunk to the whale, but he just hangs on. I go for another Psy Strike, take him out. The Hisui Ghostfish then decides to make an appearance, goes for that Wave Crash, takes out Mewtwo. He takes a huge chunk of recoil, that rain's still coming down. I then decide to go into my Urshifu, go for the Sucker Punch, take out the Ghostfish. Mr. Meta Mushroom then decides to come in. I go for the Ice Punch, do a good chunk, but Amoonguss tanks up pretty good. Goes for the Spore, puts my Kung Fu Bear to sleep. Rain finally goes away. I then decide to switch into my Dialga, get that pressure going. He decides to switch into his Palafin, now the hero form. Goes right for that Drain Punch, does a huge chunk, but Dialga's a beast. I go for the Draco, take out the hero. They then go into the Clodsire. I go right for the Stealth Rocks, they set up their own rocks. I then decide to switch into my Sleeping Bear, take some rock damage, he goes for the Toxic but it fails. I then use that to switch into my Zacian Crown, get that Intrepid Sword boost, he goes for the Earthquake, does a huge chunk, but Zacian hangs on. I go for the Terra Flying, Behemoth Blade, take out Clodsire in one shot. Meta Mushroom then decides to come back in, take some rock damage, I go for the Behemoth Blade, but he just hangs on. He goes for the Clear Smog, does a little bit, gets rid of my stat boost. He gets some lefties back, I go for another Behemoth Blade, take out the Mushroom. The last Monsunderace decides to finally come in, I go for the Sacred Sword, do about half to him. He goes for the Pyro Ball, takes out Zacian. I then decide to go into my Kyogre, get that rain going, take some rock damage. He goes for the high jump kick, goes into a fighting type. I hang on, go for the surf, take him out. Good game. Alrighty, let's get into game 3. They start off with Sasui Samurai, I start off with my Kyogre, get that rain going. I go right for the Thunder, take out Samurai in one shot. My opponent then goes into the Cresselia. I decide to switch into my Urshifu. They go for that T-Bolt, do about half, get the Para. Go for another T-Bolt, take out my Bear. I then decide to switch into my Mewtwo, get that pressure going, go for a Shadow Ball, do a huge chunk to Cresselia over there. Take some Life Orb, he goes for another T-Bolt, does barely anything. That rain's still coming down. They then switch into their Arceus Ground, I go for another Shadow Ball, do barely anything. They then go for the Terra Ground, I go for an Ice Beam, do a huge chunk, but he just hangs on. He goes for the Earth Power, gets a crit, and takes out my Mewtwo. Good Dog Boy decides to make his appearance felt, get that attack boost, go for the Behemoth Blade, take out the Arceus. Another good Dog Boy decides to make his appearance felt, I go for the Sacred Sword, knock him all the way down to the Sash. He goes for the Flare Blitz, takes out my Zacian. I then decide to go back into the Kyogre, get that rain going, go for the Surf, take out the Arcanine. The OG mascot of the game decides to come in, goes for the Surf, unfortunately, take him out. He decides to go back into the Cresselia, no matter, I go for the Surf, take him out. His last Pokemon is a Lilligant Hisui form, goes for the Leaf Blade, takes out my Kyogre in one shot. I then go into my Dialga Origin form, exert that pressure, he goes for the Leaf Blade, completely misses. I go for the Draco Meteor, take him out in one shot. Good game. Alrighty, let's get into that last game. They start off with the Regieleki, I decided to start with my Kyogre. I get that rain going, I immediately switch into my Dialga, get that pressure rolling, he goes for the Electro Ball, Dialga eats that up. He then switches into his Great Tusk, I use this opportunity to whiff a Draco. The big threat Mewtwo then decides to come out, applies that pressure, he applies some Stealth Rocks. Rain's coming down, I go for the Side Strike, do a huge chunk, but Great Tusk just hangs on. He goes for the knockoff, does a huge chunk right back, and I lose my Life Orb. He gets some lefties back, I go for another Side Strike, take him out. The rain finally goes away, they then go into the Urshifu, go for the Aqua Jet, Mewtwo just hangs on, I go for a Side Strike, take him out in one shot. The new and improved Arcanine decides to come out, goes for that E-Speed, takes out Mewtwo. I then go back into my Kyogre, get that rain going again. He decides to switch into his King Gambit, gets that Overlord boost, I go for the Surf, take him out in one shot. Mr. New Uber, Regieleki comes in, I decide to switch into my Dialga, take some damage, apply that pressure. He goes for the Terra Ice, Terra Blast, Dialga hangs on. Rain's still coming down, he goes for another Terra Blast, this time takes out Dialga. I then go into my Zacian, take some damage, get that Sword boost. He goes into his Garchomp, I go for the Behemoth Blade, do a huge chunk, take a lot of damage from that recoil. I go for another Behemoth Blade, this time take out the Garchomp, take a little bit more damage. He goes back into his Arcanine, I go for a Sacred Sword this time, take him out in one shot. His last Pokemon now is the Regieleki, goes into him, goes for the Electro Ball, Zacian hangs on, I go for the Behemoth Blade, take him out. Good game. Alrighty, and that's the video. Please know what you guys think down below and stay tuned for future content. Peace.